Hello again, Glitch Reaper here, and yeah, I'm back with some more D&D Crusader, and thing is, I've made kind of a bit of an executive decision here. Thing is, I know marrying a villager, MCA villager specifically, is farther along in the quest, but I really need to do that earlier. In fact, just earlier today, I had a couple of zombies actually make it into my house, and as you can see, there's a pig wandering around here, and sometimes they leave the door open. That's why the zombies got in. So, I don't know if they'll actually attack them, but I don't want to take that chance. Also, stuff happens around here, so I'm not gonna let that happen. Thing is that there is a special bond that's created whenever you actually marry a villager now. In modern versions of Minecraft Comes Alive, if anything were to happen to a member of your personal family after you've got that set up, the thing is that you can bring them back to life, but only if they're tied to you in some way. If they have a relationship on the information on the inside, then they will allow you to do so. Until then, not so much. In fact, I also need to make sure I have enough gold to pull this off. So let me check again on my. Oh wait, that's right. I have a ton of it in my smeltery. I can just use my ingot cast, so I should be fine. I have 4 here. But, oh yeah, the rose gold. I was going to use that to form the ring. I think I could just use half of it now. Never mind. I'll just. There we go. And then later, I might use some more. This is from Minecraft Comes Alive, and it has some interesting uses. You will find it as an ore in the world. But yeah, check out here. You usually use this to make your engagement rings and stuff. But, and I'll show how to make colored diamonds in a moment, in case you're wondering why those are clearly diamonds with different colors. Well, you're right. Those are diamonds with different colors. The thing is, you can actually convert it into back into regular gold if you have to. So if you've already done all the stuff that you want to do with it in terms of like marrying a villager or something, then you can. Okay, so it was here, but you can with a bucket of water you can turn it into gold dust. The gold dust can be converted back into an ingot. So it's not a perfect conversion because it take like several of them to do it, but well, it's like one in a part of another one. Anyhow, the thing is I want to make sure that it says I'm married to her. That way, if things happen, I'll be able to fight death and bring her back. So yeah, and who knows? Maybe if I have to do that way later, hopefully not at all, maybe I'll be in full Reaper gear from Witchery and going, okay, who's the better Reaper? So yeah, maybe I'll show the Reaper who's boss. Because hey, I'm the Reaper here. It's who I am. But yeah, I'm gonna perform this. Yeah, at this point, I had another audio difficulty. I'm really hoping this turns out fine now, otherwise I'm going to be cycling this a few times, trying to get things right. But yeah, I've got a new component. I haven't got it in my computer yet. Should solve this problem, but apparently it's a faulty graphics card that needs to be replaced, and it can bleed over into audio. But here I was explaining about how molds work with Minecraft Comes Alive. Like you create molds, and you can combine them with the finished diamonds and stuff to create custom jewelry, and that's how this part works. It's definitely harder to narrate than the first time around. It was so much easier. Yeah, I was going to use a heart mold, and eventually I built up to a pink diamond, which is, in case you're wondering, in reality is the only truly precious diamond. They cannot replicate them in any way, shape, or fashion. Nobody knows why they're pink, they just are. At this point I'm explaining how you craft it into diamond dust and then dye it to make the colored diamonds. And then of course you do stuff later. But yeah, pink is the only truly precious diamond out there. Everything else can be replicated in a laboratory, and fairly cheaply, while still being gem quality. So, that's something I probably should have emphasized then, so I'm emphasizing it now. If you really want the one precious diamond, it's pink. However, unfortunately, it's also absurdly expensive. So, good luck with that pink diamond. But of course, here in Minecraft, it's so much easier. Like, I I just dyed pink, and here it is. Gee. The thing is, with Minecraft Comes Alive, you get like several achievements down the line for doing the jewelry setup whenever you're trying to do this. Because doing the proposal with the engagement ring and everything requires this whole thing. And here's the gem cutter. It's used in like every major crafting operation for doing gems to like set them into the rings. So later on, I have to use this particular tool. It requires a diamond itself, so I'm kind of low on diamonds right after I've done all this. So yeah, I mean, some mods are rougher on than others. This one at least it's like mostly a one-time thing. I mean, it's not like how it used to be whenever you used to have like the ability to become a king and everything. That really ate through your resources because you had to get the monarch gear. But when Minecraft Comes Alive changed, it did away with that, but then it gained this whole new resurrection system, which is what I'm trying to lead into here, because the thing is that they went off with trying to become king of the villagers or whatever, and went more into taking care of your family, and that's what this whole thing's led up to. And I don't know how much Diggy and Spiky realized when they made this mod pack that mod had really changed recently, and it's for both like the 1.0 to 7.10 and the 1.10.2 versions at this time. It's like any of the versions kind of universally have changed this way, where the emphasis is now more on protecting your family than it is on trying to be the king or monarch or whatever, king or queen, whatever. Well, the thing is that now there's this procedure that if anyone who's a member of your family dies, and they have to be have that stat within their menu there saying they're married to you or it's your child or something. But if any of them dies, what'll happen is there will be a moment where you find an area close by where they have a special item that dropped whenever they died, and you use that in a special ceremony to basically summon death, and you take him down and you'll receive a special item. It will allow you to resurrect people that you've lost. I don't know if it's a one-use thing or not, but seeing how it goes, it's probably an epic thing each time. So this is something that you don't really want to have to do, but I'm kind of preparing for this. So hence why I'm getting myself engaged to Bula a bit earlier than I was originally intending, because it is farther down in the quest line by a long shot. That's whenever you'd normally be ready to properly marry a villager. In my case, I'm thinking, well, I'd rather be safe than sorry, because if I lose her now, it's going to be very hard finding another one that I think would be the perfect case, and that I'd like to kind of roleplay with. So this whole thing is a bit of a trick. And yeah, there I just dyed a diamond. Interesting how, now that I'm looking at it from this perspective, the achievement itself uses a black diamond. I'm not sure. I don't think black diamonds are necessarily going to be the best example. I mean, a blue diamond, they're pretty cool. I've seen blue diamonds before, definitely. But yeah, now pink, as I was saying before, that's where it's at. Because there's no way to replicate that. Pink diamond is a pink diamond. It's just this thing. So I was thinking, if I'm going to make her a ring with a diamond, I might as well do it the one true diamond, the one true piece of worth. So I do it that way. And there's my my rose gold ring I came up with. Rose gold is it's not quite as rare as regular gold, might I add, so it's kind of easier to come by. Now, coming up is something that I roleplayed. Actually, one of my earlier incidents of roleplay for this. I'll probably be doing more from now on because of this moment. Whenever I give her the ring and everything and do my proposal and everything. I was gonna originally save most of my role-playing in this pack for after I selected a class officially, and I definitely already know which way I'm gonna go. you may already guess I tend to be heavy into magic mods, so you definitely know I'm gonna be going down the magical path. You can always do pretty much everything. And, oh yeah, there's the fried egg thing. I found out that it made it really easy to get edible eggs with BAMs. Why are fried eggs not a thing in vanilla Minecraft? I mean, I've had some seriously good cooked eggs in real life, so why not? Anyhow, here's where I roleplay this. I was doing the whole. Well, I was originally saying how she was always accepting more warrior type items as gifts from me, like armor and weapons and stuff like that. And she was a cleric, so therefore she had the whole warrior magic user thing going. In this case, warrior cleric. And I was an aspiring magic user that also has the warrior spirit, and that I fight for the village and defend people. At the same time, I'm going to be heavy with magic, so both of us had something greatly in common. And now I thought that it would be a good idea if we shared that together from then on. It sounded even better than that whenever I did it the first time. So again, this is always going to make it awkward when I have to narrate. But yeah, here's where she accepts the ring, and I get yet another achievement from Minecraft Comes Alive. Ding! There we go. Happily accepted. You gotta just love how that one sounds, like they said themselves. And what's weird is, like, the moment after I get my proposal through, like, right afterwards, the next thing that she says is kind of funny. I'll give it a moment. I forgot it wasn't quite afterwards. Took a little longer after. Oh yeah, there. Yeah, she's like suggesting to cook something. So after a while, I have to figure out how it's working in this version that since she's wanting to cook for me, even though we're not technically married yet, that yeah, why not? So I'm trying to figure out the menu on that one. There actually used to be options where some of the villagers would just offer to help you out in certain ways periodically. It's a bit different here, but yeah, I was trying to figure out what all she needed. Eventually, I figured out just how close she needs to be. Well, it was actually kind of that close. I don't. The thing is, for some odd reason, she's not really registering non-vanilla furnaces. It has to be like a vanilla furnace that she has to be close to. If she needs that, she needs the food, and she needs like some fuel to cook it with. But how she does it later is definitely kind of magic. But at this point, I'm explaining to her how these magical, like these more plant magic-based furnaces for magical crops are like the furnaces of the future in this world, because they're like the most magical, powerful furnaces. And especially how they make it where they're more fuel efficient. Lips. Yeah, that even happens during narration. But yeah, how they're like more fuel efficient and how they're faster than regular furnaces, and how they lead up to really, really good furnaces. Some of which can do like stacks of items in seconds. So it's amazing. But I'm not to that point yet. I have been maintaining magical crops on the side for a while, and I may move my whole farm later to be a more coordinated effort at my magical little place in the sky. But for now, I'm just trying to see how well she works out with a regular furnace, so I'm trying to get her close to that. And I'm trying to analyze this as part of this, because, again, they did change different dynamics from one version to another. I mean, again, as I was saying before, they lost the whole monarch thing. That was kind of cool, being to be the king or the queen. But it's not there anymore. You can't use your whole monarch gear, you can't become royalty or anything like that. But at least you have the resurrection system, and that's what I'm building up here. I haven't done the whole wedding ring thing yet, partially because it's still part of the system as far as I know, that if you walk around whenever you're engaged before the big party, what'll happen is that you receive various gifts from the other members of that exact village. Well, I don't know if it would spread from one village to another. I mean, would they really talk to each other and say, "Hey, we heard over at the village next, in like the next, let's see, what would be the best term for Minecraft? The village in the next biome. That these two are getting married, so everyone that sees them should know that they're being a happy couple and everything, and they're not quite married yet, so maybe we can give them some engagement gifts." So the whole, is it like a global thing? I don't know that part yet. I mean, I could test that, because I know where there's another village. I've seen it before. It's a rather impressive-looking crater next to it. But yeah, that'd be an interesting thing that I might test out now that I'm really thinking about it. I mean, I know I'm narrating here, but really, that's an interesting concept. Does it really spread in that direction? Here, I'm doing my clipboard, trying to remember a few things. And I also reminded myself to also show one of the things I was doing progress for. That's for magical crop tricks. That's mainly having to do with the furnace. There's some other really cool stuff that in magical crops that you don't necessarily see as often. Like one thing I found out while I was just seeing what some of the essences could do is you can make specific enchanted books and things, and that's going to be cool later on. So as I become a mage in multiple ways, including magical farming, that's going to be more and more of a thing. I think at this point I was also saying how how I retrieved a zombie spawner that I'd found, because I'd found one that was below my village. I just stumbled into the cave, and I'm going, okay, was this here the whole time and I just didn't notice it? But yeah, what you need, and the thing is, it was like a dead dungeon, so there's a reason why I didn't show what treasure was there, is it had none. There was no chests. It had been kind of ran through by its own cave. But there was still the spawner, and it was zombies, and I can use them later. So I was showing how to make the dolly. But if you use the diamond dolly, you can pick up things that are like tile based blocks, kind of like chests and other things. I mean, with Jabu, it's meant to take the barrels and regular chests, and as an extension of how you can use it, if you make the diamond version rather than just the regular one, you can actually pick up spawners. And it's interesting how that works. It tries slowing you down whenever you have one to represent how heavy it is, but it's pretty easy to just put it in a backpack and negate that. That's exactly what I did, as I'm carrying it around in an adventure backpack. I gotta admit, they were working a lot better in this mod pack than I had encounters with them previously. The mod has been notoriously buggy for a long time, but I don't know if they've finally worked out the bugs, or if it's just better in single player than it is in multiplayer. Because usually whenever I was having trouble with it, it was in multiplayer. So, yeah, so I'm definitely appreciating how the backpacks are working now compared to then. and yeah, in fact, a few of you may know exactly what I'm talking about with just how bad it was before. So, yeah, things happen. And yeah, I accidentally budged her there and apologized. And now I'm looking around to see if there's any zombies. But, because this village has gotten raided multiple times, and, I think I did lose one of the citizens once, actually. It wasn't necessarily to zombies, but let's just say... excuse me. Let's just say stuff happened. So, yeah, they can get killed off, and that's one of the reasons why I was getting a bit more concerned about how this would all go down. So, yeah, things happen. I mean, I've had dragons drop on me, and one of the things I do when that happens is I purposely run out into the, kind of like the field, which is an open area, so that the dragon won't attack the villagers, or if I'm getting it aggroed on me, it won't land on top of them. Because the dragons in the pack can deal a lot of damage really fast, especially to, like, other mobs. I mean, I've got good armor on, so it really helps. Plus, I've got, well, my trusty spear. The thing about it is, it may just be a stone spear, but with the levels mod, you can get all sorts of crazy stuff to operate with it. Like, that one has a very rare ability, and it means that it has like a chance to instantly KO pretty much anything. So it's actually way more powerful than its attack power alone would suggest. I may eventually get like a better spear. I may just, yeah, but the amount that the thing is, I can also deal a lot of damage just because of my combos, because I can use the dynamic sword skill system, and whenever you're in a combo, you deal like rising attack damage really fast. So you can deal a lot more damage than usual, and I think it might just partially penetrate hit stun, which is when they're temporarily invulnerable and can't take further damage. But I think it partially gets past that, so your combos deal quicker damage regardless. And here I'm showing off something special, a little building I've been making in the middle of water, because if you don't, you might burn a lot of things. But yeah, this is something you needed for the quest. It's made out of a combination of these fire bricks and a couple of very special blocks, including the blast furnace heater and the blast furnace chambers. And they required an absurd amount of iron. Also, I'm showing off my little dark room here I made. This is a bit different because in some other mod packs I've had different resources I could use to make these. Oh, these ghost blocks. That's actually ghost blocks that I gave the texture of glass to by very carefully positioning the glass. And you have to have it where they initially touch only the glass, because they will take a solid texture first when there's like multiple choices. So they definitely have a priority system. And I'm also showing off some of these ore berries, which are nice. The experience ones do give you, like the essence ones give you experience, but the others give you various metals, and you can just pluck them off, so it's kind of a nice renewable source of materials. It goes at its own rate, so you just gotta harvest them periodically. But because they prefer to heavily grow in the dark rather than well-lit areas, that's why you have to have the dark room. And I made it so that I had ghost blocks there, because if an enemy were to spawn there, they usually can't see past a ghost block. Even if they're basically incorporeal with regards to the mob, they still can't see past it. Plus I have an actual solid barrier in case they accidentally wander past it, just randomly. So that way I can completely survey what's there and make sure that everything's okay, and at the same time have a dark room. And I have to have the light turned on because, well, not just the fact that the light only goes so far in, but in this mod pack, you have to deal with the Gru if the light level's ever too low, so... And it will one-shot you through a lot of armor. Although apparently it doesn't always get past shields. I've ran into that one, interestingly, a couple times. But anyhow, the thing is that the Gru just deals an absurd amount of damage, so the best way to deal with it is to avoid it. And it can't stand the light, so if you just have an area well-lit, it goes away. As for right now... I'm also trying to show kind of the research that I had to do to get this. And my skills are definitely up. I've had to do that in between partially just to be able to research how to get this whole thing done, because I needed... Well, my Mind Fantasy 2 has a skill system, and the thing about it is I had to be, I think, level 25 in artisanry first. Although I've raised it since then because, you know, crafting stuff and getting books from enemies, stuff like that. Well... Anyhow, the thing is, I had to get fairly up there before I even got to this whole thing about processing. And this is one of the things about the quest, is trying to get pig iron. Now, there is more than one way to do it. I can technically or dictionary that between the version for Mind Fantasy 2 and the version for Tinker's, but it will actually be more cost-effective in the long run to do it from Mind Fantasy 2. Because even though I had to go through a lot of steps to get these... fire bricks and stuff, and the chambers and all that jazz, it's going to be better in the long run, because the alloy process you use in Tinker's to get it is... And here I'm explaining about the qualinite, or whatever it is. But it's found in your world, and it's kind of uncommon. Seems to be mainly in caves rather than, you know, like straight up mining. So I had to find enough to make these bricks, and they're a special component for it. About one of the dust from it, in the end, after the various crafting steps, gives you enough to make 4 brick items, and 4 brick items makes 1 block. So about each one of these qualinite that I find yields me, in the end, after using the clay and stuff, about 1 of these blocks. So I had to find several. And for, like, half of the quest, you need about 16 of these blocks, even though the structure itself that you need to multi-block only really needs 8, as far as I can tell. I haven't really fired it up yet. And here I'm also explaining about, like, the crafting steps for the, like, chamber and the heater. And the fact that when you really look into the other parts of how to make these with Final Fantasy 2, it adds up to an insane amount of iron. And I also explained how I needed some higher level stuff just to be able to forge this, like a better anvil and a better hammer. In fact, it was like a better heavy hammer. Actually, it was like a slightly different hammer, like one that wasn't even like the hammers I was going for before, but similar to one of the hammers I thought it was before. But I've been able to do more research into Final Fantasy 2 over time to figure out how the whole system works and everything. So now I went from noob to expert really fast. Anyhow, another thing is, I'm still explaining about the sheer numbers there. Because it's like a ridiculous amount of iron. It really is. But one thing I was going to mention before about the skill system is it does in fact have a maximum. Your skills will only ever go up to 100 points each. I had a testing world I was using. I did find a serious bug on that. I may be able to report that later. I don't know. But the bug for it is affecting one thing that I'm not sure many people work with or not. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to go back to that testing world. I may have to recreate it. But before I did, I tested out just how far I could get the skills and what all I could unlock in Final Fantasy 2 and just read through its own research book about it. But yeah, one thing's definitely true is that certain things only really follow patterns and doesn't tell you that you can do everything with each material. Is basically kind of just hinting at it. So some of the high-level stuff, you basically just repeat the same pattern over and over, but it may give you a warning saying, oh, well, this little subcomponent's actually made in a different way than usual, but it just still indicates that the other stuff just follows a pattern. But yeah, here I had someone on my roof because I actually had originally built something to get up on the roof so I could overlook the area. That way, like, whenever zombies came around, I'd be able to know where all of them were. At least sometimes. I found a better search pattern afterwards. But still good to be up on the roof to overlook everything. But because now I can jump high enough, I can just do this. Wow, that timed well saying that. But yeah, I just eliminated my stairs because I no longer needed them. They're obsolete now that I have this armor. And the ring combined. The ring is something somebody gave me on the server before it collapsed, so it was kind of saved from a previous world. It's one from, I'm not sure if it's a sub-variation of Weapons Case Weapons Case Loot or not. Oh, here I think is when I noticed that the menu for their inventory is bugged in this version. It may in fact be from those other things on the side that's part of FTB Utilities, now that I'm really looking at the screen. Why is that even displayed while looking inside the inventory of a villager? Huh. That's a mystery. I'm going to have to think about that. I mean, it has literally nothing to do with them, so I guess its only purpose for being there is to bug up your menu. I think this is whenever I'm about to head off. Yeah, because this is totally my usual time to, well, not necessarily usual time per se, but it's my usual going away speech. So, as you can imagine here, I'm saying that I'm logging off. Would like to hear from y'all later. And saying goodbye. It's been interesting trying to narrate again, especially when, well, things happen. Hopefully they won't happen too much again.